characters of all the Vaishnavas who came to meet with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri. And we heard so many stories of each devotee. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had a rule, he would accept prasad at the house of different devotees. So one devotee, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he decided to invite Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for lunch. So, at first, he tried to invite Chaitanya Mahaprabhu every day for 1 month. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, this is not the job of sannyasi to eat in one place. Srila Gokashadas Babaji Maharaj said, renounced devotee should be like a bull. Means, in India bulls are not kept caged, they move here and there everywhere. So devotees should be like that, not dependent on one place, like a cow. So, Sarvabhauma said, please come for 1 month. Mahaprabhu said, impossible. I will come, I will not be able to do that. Then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, come for 15 days. Cannot. That is also against the principles of the renounced order. Please come for at least 10 days. No. Please come for 5 days. Then Mahaprabhu agreed. So, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya invited the other 10 sannyasis who were principal associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for 2 days each. So that's 20 days. Plus some days for Swarup Damodar and 5 days for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, his wife was named Satir Mata. She was a great devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And she was affectionate like millions of mothers. Therefore Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and his wife began cooking. Both were expert. They cooked more than 100 preparations. And what did they cook? 3 mans of rice. How much is a man?
I think it's like 40 kilos.
No. 1 man is 2 pounds. That's mon. This is man. So they cooked 6 pounds of rice. That's quite a mountain, isn't it? And they stacked all the rice on one big banana leaf. And they put, ghee, clarified butter. So much ghee they put on, it was running on the bottom of the rice like a river. They cooked hundreds of preparations. 10 kinds of spinach. A soup called sukta. Anyone had sukta? Very nice. Bengali preparation. Made with Karela, bitter lemon, things like that. Papaya, potatoes. What's happening? Mike's okay. Krishna Kantapu will take care of it. So 10 kinds of spinach, so many types of soups, sukta. There was preparations made of neem leaves, bitter preparations. Preparations with curd, preparations with black pepper. So many types of dals, cakes, fruits, roots, milk products, eggplant. Feeling hungry. Fried urad dal. Yes, that's strange. I thought eggplant came from South America. Obviously not. Indian eggplant was probably there. There was 5 or 6 types of sour preparations. So many types of chutneys, drinks. Meaning hundreds and hundreds of preparations. And each one was on one leaf cup. There was sandesh, sweets, churned curd, sweet rice, milk, mango, milk. There are so many preparations it's not possible to count. Prabhupada sometimes used to say this is the kitchen religion. Also there was many types of prasad they brought from the Jagannath temple. Now I'm really feeling hungry. There were so many different types of sweet balls, laddus, cakes. So the whole room was just full of food, including the beginning, the huge mountain of rice. Thus, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came at midday, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya washed the Lord's feet and invited him to take lunch. So, when the pujari offers the food to Krishna, the bhog to Krishna, if they do it very nicely, here is little small, Thakurji is small, then they do simply. But in India, they put like a whole seat for Krishna and all the prasad. They put it, the pujari invites Krishna to sit actually on one asana. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is thinking this is already offered to Krishna. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is not thinking that. He's thinking, I will offer to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu directly because he is Krishna. Why give to Krishna and give to Krishna again? Just give to Krishna directly. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the food, Mahaprabhu said, how can one person possibly eat so much? Just give me a little bit of rice and that wet sabji, that's all. I am sannyasi, I should not overeat. Then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, I know how much you eat. In the temple of Jagannath Puri, how many offerings a day they make? 52 offerings a day. 52, 50. Sometimes in one offering when there's 56 items, then that's chapan bhog. But it says here 52 times a day.
Oh, 52 times a day. Oh, right.
52 times a day. And each time they offer hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kilos. There's like 500 guys just chopping vegetables, full time. Then so many hundreds of guys carrying the food to the temple. Everyone has their duties. So Jagannath, when he eats one time, it's not just like he eats that means one time he eats hundreds and hundreds of kilos per offering. And how many offerings a day? 52. Therefore, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, just give me a little bit of rice, a little bit of that wet sabji, I cannot eat so much, then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, don't cheat me. I know how much you eat. In the temple of Jagannath, you're eating 52 times a day. And each meal is like hundreds and hundreds of kilos. In Dwarka, you have 16,108 queens. They're also cooking. Each one of them is cooking for you. And in Vrindavan, you're going to the homes of millions and millions of cowherd boys. Krishna's father, Nanda Baba, has 4 other brothers. Krishna goes there eating each day. As well as maternal uncles, husbands of your father's sisters, as well as all the cowherd men, as well as eating in the forest. I mean, when Krishna goes cow grazing, there's so many billions of cowherd boys. And each cowherd boy has a packed lunch that they have cooked for Krishna. When you take lunch, you give this to Krishna. So how much Krishna is eating in one day? 16,108 queens. Millions and millions of cowherd boys. The gopas and gopis, they're also cooking for Krishna. And Jagannath Puri is only one temple. He's eating 50 times a day. How many temples of Krishna in India?
5,000 in Vrindavan alone.
Even alone in Vrindavan is 5,000. Even in LA, how many temples are there? Only one real one. There's Laguna Beach, isn't it? There's Watsika, there's here. Govinda Maharaj has his temple there in San Francisco. Or to speak of all the devotees who are simply cooking at home or around the world. How much Krishna is eating, can you imagine? At the Govardhan ceremony, you ate hundreds of tons of food. Prasad. Then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, this is not even one morsel for you, one mouthful. Please do not cheat me. Tumitu Ishwara Mui Kshuddha Jivacha Ek Gras Madhukari Kore Angikar. You are the supreme controller. I am a most insignificant individual soul that is called a jiva. Therefore, please accept just one bite to eat from my house. So hearing, because he was defeated by the arguments of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Mahaprabhu smiled, sat down and began eating. Means huge mountains of rice, hundreds of preparations. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began eating. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's daughter had married one Brahmin. His name was Amoga. Amoga was a great fault finder. He would always find fault with everyone. What happened? Because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was busy filling up the pots, take this, take this, take this, take this. Then Amoga came in and he saw this sannyasi is eating enough for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of men. What's going on? E ana tripta hoi das bharajan. Ekala sannyasi kori eteka bakshan. There's enough food here to feed 15 or 20 devotees, and this sannyasi alone is eating everything. So this is criticism. When Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya heard, his eyes became bloodshot red. He turned around, grabbed a stick and went to beat his son-in-law. But Amoga ran for his life. It's Armageddon. Armageddon out of here. The Bhattacharya ran after him to beat him with a stick, but he could not catch him. Then Bhattacharya began swearing. This is funny because he is such a great scholar, such a learned personality, but he is effeminate being and swearing. And therefore, when they heard him like this, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was smiling, because such a great person will become this much angry. This is not an everyday occurrence. Immediately, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's wife, she said, "Let my daughter become a widow." Means let him die. He has blasphemed the Supreme Lord. Thus, she was striking her head and chest. May my daughter become a widow. May my daughter become a widow. Seeing the lamentation of both the husband and wife, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pacified them. He ate all the prasadam. Afterwards, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya gave him some betel nut, flavoured spices. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ate that. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya put some sandalwood paste upon his chest and limbs. Then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was very sad. "I brought you to my house to have you blasphemed. I am very much sorry for that." Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled. "Why are you angry? What Amoga said is true." Why one person should eat so much? Don't be angry. Therefore, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya again and again was lamenting, "Alas, why I did this, why I did this. My son-in-law is useless." So what happened? Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was thinking, if the person who blasphemed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is dead, then his sins may be forgiven. Or I may also give up my own life. But I cannot give up my own life because this body belongs to the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I cannot destroy it without his permission. Therefore, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya took a vow. I will never see the face of that person again. Indeed, I will never even speak his name. Haribol. Inform my daughter to give up her husband and return home. When the husband is fallen, the wife's duty is to give him up. What happened immediately? Amoga, that night he caught cholera. And he was dying. When Sarvabhauma heard that his son-in-law was dying, must have been inside he was a little satisfied. Indeed, it is the favour of Providence that Providence is doing what I could not do. Means kill him. Therefore, when one commits offence to the Supreme Lord or his empowered devotee, immediately one gets the sinful reaction. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya spoke one verse from the Mahabharata. Mahantihi pratyena hasti asasarata patibi asmabi yad anustayam gandharvastad anustitam. That verse was spoken by Bhimsen. If you read Mahabharata, you'll know the Pandavas were exiled for 12 years. And 1 year they had to be in hiding. No one could discover them. What's your name, madam? Huh? You're neat? Impressive name. You know a little bit about Mahabharata. Okay. So the Pandavas were exiled in the forest. In the forest, what do you eat? Mangoes, roots, spinach, stuff like that. So the Pandavas were in exile. They could not eat nice things. So to torture the Pandavas, the Kurus had a huge festival right next door to them. And they made sure the wind was blowing that way, so when they were cooking the sweet rice and the sabjis and the puris, the fragrance would blow over. Then, the Kurus made some enmity with a Gandharva king named Chitrasen. Some argument was there. So what happened? The Gandharvas defeated the Kurus. And all the Kuru army attacked and the Gandharvas smashed them. Then the Gandharva king, Chitrasen, he bound a Duryodhana like a dog and began carrying through the air as a prisoner. That time Duryodhana was crying, help me, but no one to help. So Yudhishthira Maharaj was there, great devotee, Ajat Satru. He never thought anyone was his enemy. He had enemies, but he never thought this person is my enemy. Only a devotee of Krishna can be so magnanimous. So what happened? When Duryodhana was crying, save me, help me, then Yudhishthira ordered, Bhimsen, you save your cousin brother. Then Bhimsen said this verse. What we could have accomplished with great endeavor is being accomplished automatically. In order to defeat him, we would have had to collect a whole army and have a fight with him, but the Gandharva king is doing everything automatically. This is a very good thing. So Bhimsen would not help his brother, cousin brother. Then Yudhishthira ordered Arjuna. Arjuna defeated the Gandharva, and the Gandharva said, take him, and threw him from the sky. And when he was falling, Arjuna made like a slippery dip of arrows. So Duryodhana went, and came right to the feet of Yudhishthira Maharaj. And Yudhishthira Maharaj, he said, when we are fighting with our cousin brothers, they are 100 and we are 5, but when someone comes from outside, we are 105. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, very good. He's dying automatically of cholera, I don't have to kill him personally. That's one verse. Ayushriyam yasodanam laksham asisevacha hanti shreyamsi sarvani pumso mahad atikrama. When a person blasphemes great souls, his lifespan, his opulence, his reputation, his religious principles, his possessions, good fortune and intelligence are all destroyed. So be careful. No? Don't commit offense to any Vaishnava. No? There's one story in Mathura many years ago. Because when Gurudev first started preaching in Mathura, then only Bengalis were with him. So Mathura, in India there's so much racism also. Everywhere is racism. Bengalis don't like these guys don't like those guys don't like these guys from this state. That's natural. As long as we have the body concept of life, then people will be absorbed in these things. So they were doing some construction on the temple property. You know that juice stand just on the corner? The guy sells orange juice, that shop. So they were doing some construction, some cement, some sand, a few stones and stuff fell on the guy's juice shop. And the man became very angry, began shouting, he generated a crowd, and all the locals also did not like why all these Bengalis are here doing black magic. They were thinking like this. So they came, big crowd was there, shouting, hoo-ha, hoo-ha. Then Gurudev personally had to come down. Please, it was an accident, whatever he said, I was not there. Then the man who owned that juice store, he was drinking a tea. So he drank, and when Gurudev came in front of him, he threw the tea on Gurudev's face, and like that. Then Gurudev, very humbly, he didn't say anything. Next day that man was run over by a truck. Then everyone in that whole area became afraid. Really, he must be a great sadhu, because look what happened. Then all that whole area became inclined, they all became afraid. So this is one who blasphemes great souls, they lose everything. And have we not seen it? Everyone has seen that in their life. People have so much wealth, opulence, name and fame, position, knowledge, but they neglect Gurudev, they mistreat any great soul, and they lose everything. So, Gopinath, that time, Gopinath Acharya went directly to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and informed him the son-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is dying of cholera. Therefore, when Mahaprabhu went there, immediately he touched Amoga on the chest. Sahaja nirmal e brahmana hridoye Krishnir bosatiye yogyastana hoye Matsalya chandra kene iha basaila Param pavitra stana apavitra koila. The heart of a Brahmin is meant to be pure, a sitting place for Krishna. How have you allowed the prostitute of jealousy to sit in your heart and pollute it? Amoga, because you are intimately connected with my devotee Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. All your contamination is now finished. Arise, arise. Chant the holy name. Amoga. Get up. Utaya Amoga tumi lao Krishna nam Achare tumare kripa korive Bhagavan. Amoga, get up, chant the name of Krishna. If you do so, Krishna will give his mercy to you. So Amoga merely stood up, Hare Bol, Hare Bol. Because he was touched by the divine hand of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all his offenses were destroyed and he achieved pure love of Krishna. Thus he stood up and began chanting like a madman. Kampasu pulak stamba swed swarabanga Prabhu hasi dekitar premina taranga. Amoga began dancing in ecstasy. Tears flowed from his eyes. His hair stood on end. His voice was choked. His body had trembling and horripilation. Seeing the waves of ecstasy appearing in the body of Amoga, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to smile. Amoga then fell at the feet of the Lord and began slapping his face. By this mouth I have blasphemed you. And he began beating himself. Thus his face became red. Finally Gopinath Acharya came behind and caught his hands. Thus Mahaprabhu said, you are the object of my affection because you are the son-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Everyone in the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is very dear to me, including his maids, his servants, and even his dog. This morning we talked so much about dogs. Therefore, aparad nahi sadalao Krishna nam ete boli Prabhu oila Sarvabhauma astam. Always chant the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare. Yogita, you know the Mahamantra? Okay, no. You are chanting Om Namah Shivaya, but what name is Shiva chanting? Huh? Lord Shiva, what is he chanting? Lord Shiva is always in meditation. Who is he thinking of? We'll talk after. In Lord Shiva's hand he has a mala. Whose name is he chanting? It's nice we... Anyway. Thus, very interesting point here. One day Srila Chivaka Maharaj was talking with me. So he was discussing this point. He said, we are doing so many offences, but we do not get cholera and almost die the next day, and the Supreme Lord come and touch us on the chest. And he said, why? Then he gave an example. If there's a classroom, you know in high school there's the nerds in the top of the class, and the guys who never come to class and smoke cigarettes at lunchtime, there's like a whole gradation of people in the class. If the kids who are in the bottom of the class fail all their exams and never come to school, who cares? Right? The teacher won't even say anything. As soon as they get out of my class, they're better. Isn't it true? Sachi, what are you remembering, are you? But the topmost student in the class, he starts failing in exams, what will happen? The teachers will beat him, all the parents will there, headmaster will be called. Why? Because top class student. They have an ordinary person who makes so many offences to Guru and Vaishnava. The Supreme Lord will not directly interfere, go to hell. But someone who has a standard, they make some mistake, immediate chastisement is given. No? So Amoga, because he was directly the son-in-law of the great devotee Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, immediate punishment was given. One time we asked Srila Gaur Maharaj, because at that time so many people were against him. They were envious of his knowledge of the Shastra, his speaking ability, so many people became against him. So there was one person in particular, then the devotees were asking, because he was always making obstacles for his preaching, for everything. Then we asked how he is still alive, why he's not being punished. Then Srila Gautamana said a beautiful thing. No, Krishna only punishes the good people. He said, these persons are so low class, the Krishna lets them make more offense, until their glass overflows and everyone will see who they are. Very deep thing. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I have so much affection for you. Why? Only because you are related with my devotee. And this morning so much we discussed that topic. So, always chant the holy name, do not make offense. Thus Sarvabhauma, Mahaprabhu went to Sarvabhauma's Bhattacharya's house and said, Amoga's a son-in-law, he is a child only. Why are you so angry? Please both of you get up and take bath and accept him as your own. Catching hold of Mahaprabhu's feet, Bhattacharya said, why did you bring Amoga back to life? It would have been better if he died. Mahaprabhu said, Amoga is a child. The father does not take the sins of the son very seriously. Now that he has become an Vaishnava, he has no more offense. Please bestow your mercy upon him without hesitation. Therefore, Amoga became a great devotee of the Lord. Thus, anyone who hears this pastime will definitely achieve the lotus feet of Krishna very, very soon. There was another devotee, same story, Pundarik Vidanidhi. This morning we discussed about him also. One day he went to the Jagannath Puri temple, so there's one day, Sasti Uttan. I think it's Udan Sasti, that's like, isn't that the beginning of this? When the sun moves from the south to the north, something like that. Sun equinox. So, in the temple of Jagannath, they do not follow rules and regulations according to normal temples, if you've noticed. What time's Mangalati? 8, 7, 10. When Guruji was sick there, then one devotee said, I said, did you go to Mangalati? He said, yes. What time it was? He goes, today it was 2 hours late. Then my devotee friend, he asked Pujari, what's happening? Why Mangalati is 3 hours late? And the Pujari said, Jagannath hasn't returned back yet. Every night he goes out and does his pastimes, he hasn't come back yet. We're still waiting for him. So their seva is very astonishing. The great devotee Ramanand, Sri Ramanujacharya, he came there and challenged them. You are not serving according to the proper rules and regulations of the scriptures. I challenge you to scriptural debate. Then all the servants of Jagannath, they became afraid. No one can defeat this great devotee in debate. So all of them prayed to Jagannath, Jagannath, we don't know if we're good or bad, but we are yours. Protect us. Save us. So Jagannath Dev, he picked up Ramanujacharya and threw him 300 miles in the south. Bed and everything. So when he woke up, he was like 300 miles away. So Jagannath is very extraordinary. Therefore we should never criticize. What they do, but let them do it. That is between them and Jagannath. So, yeah, that the Pujari know, they're not ordinary souls. No. How they know if the Jagannath has eaten? The Pujari puts a drop of water in his hand. And he looks at the drop of water. If the reflection of Jagannath is not on the drop of water, it means Jagannath has not accepted the offering. There's many, many things that you hear. So Jagannath Puja is very different. So on that day of Uttan, what's it called? Udan Sasti. They offer the Lord new cloth, bleached cloth. Okay, Yogita? Bleached means after they take the cloth off the womb, they starch it in rice water. Like in America, mostly they cook rice by absorption method, but in India they cook by boiling method. Means huge amount of water, they throw the rice in and they take the cooked rice out. So what's left is full of starch. So they use that. So that is not clean. Understand? Not clean. So they were offering that unwashed cloth, new cloth, to Lord Jagannath. So Pundarik Vidyanidhi was looking, what's this? What they're doing wrong. So night time, Jagannath and Baladev came in his dream of Pundarik and grabbed him in the dream. Why are you criticizing my servants? You have no right to criticize my servants. And they began slapping him. Krishna one side, Baladev the other side. Then after slapping him again, he woke up, he looked in the mirror, his cheeks were bright red. So he tried to hide it. And he told Swarup Damodar, his intimate friend, and word spread out. Therefore getting punishment from the higher quarter is very difficult to achieve. Therefore devotees are always praying for that punishment. No? But only fortunate souls can get. Okay, Yogita, ready to be punished for Krishna? Okay. So many pastimes they did. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after some time, he was thinking, I will go to Vrindavan. So the first time he went to Vrindavan, he headed north. He said, I want to see my two mothers. One is the Mother Ganga, one is Sachi Mata. So when he went, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of persons followed him. There's one book where Chaitanya Bhagavat describes nicely. Caitanya-Caritamrta just giving a very short definition. Wherever the Lord went, then hundreds of thousands of people were following. They made highways through the jungle, just people knocking down trees, just trampling. Whole villages were flattened. Wherever the Lord visited. When the Lord would stay in one village, then the hundreds of thousands of persons would also stay. Houses were destroyed, gardens were trampled, walls were knocked down, but no one cared. Everyone was blissful. So the Lord came all the way up to what's it called? Not Mayapur, the other side. I cannot remember. Anyway, they came up that side, bank of the Ganga. That time they met Rupa and Sanatan for the first time. That time Sanatan Goswami and Mahaprabhu, they had written letters to the Lord, but they had not met face to face. So Mahaprabhu gave them many instructions. At that time, you should both give up your positions and come and be in my service full time. Kulinagram, there Mahaprabhu stayed in the house of one Brahmin. His name was, come on brain, cannot remember. No. Some say the spiritual master of Rupa and Sanatan, so I cannot remember his name. The point is, thousands and thousands and thousands of persons were accompanying the Lord. Where the Lord would walk and touch the ground, people would dig up the ground to get that dust and keep as a souvenir. Then the highways were all pitted and pockmarked. No, millions and millions of persons came. So, that time, Sanatana Goswami gave some advice to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You should not come here like a circus. If you go to Vrindavan, you should go with only one or two persons in a very deep and meditative mood. Don't go like this. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu agreed. He returned back and came back to Jagannath Puri. So, he stayed there some time. Also, when he was moving around, the Muslim government was taking interest. What is that? Then his name was Hussein Shah, horrible mass murderer. But millions and millions of people were traveling with the Lord. Then Hussein Shah was, what's going on? Then the devotees tried to, you should not pay any attention to him. He is just some mendicant. Then Hussein Shah asked to Rupa Goswami, who is this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Millions and millions of people are following him. Therefore I think he must be the Supreme Lord, otherwise this would never happen. Because he is not giving anything, but everyone is following him, he must be Allah. He must be the Lord. What do you think? Then Rupa Goswami said, as a matter of great fortune, King, it is true, the Supreme Lord has personally come to your kingdom. Do not disturb him in any way. So Hussein Shah got so much mercy from the Lord. Therefore the Lord, he came back to Jagannath Puri. So that is second journey of the Lord. First time he went to South India. Second time he went going north towards Navadvip and from there to Vrindavan, but he returned. And the third time he tried to go, he was successful. Because the first time was when, directly after he took sannyas, and at that time he was going to Vrindavan. But remember, he was cheated by Nityananda and he came back. So first time cheated by Nityananda. Second time, Sanatana Goswami said, don't come like a circus. So the third time he went to Vrindavan, he was successful. So, the devotees, again the Lord said, I will not take anyone, I will be impartial. And they said, you take one person. His name was Balabhadra Bhattacharya. So you will hear now of the Lord going to Vrindavan, how he travelled through the Jharkhand forest. Also very important, that time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Raghunath. That time Raghunath Das. Afterwards Raghunath Das Goswami. He met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a small boy at the house of Advaita Charya after the Lord took sannyas and going to Puri. Okay, Yagata, you come in the middle of a 7-day, so it's a little hard for you to follow. Don't mind. So Raghunath, he met the Lord when he was only a very small boy, 5 or 6. And he developed so much attraction for the Lord. Indeed, he would always try and run away to be with the Lord full time. But his parents had employed many security guards, 5 or 10, they used to watch him day and night. Every time he tried to escape, they would catch him and bring him back. Therefore, his father had 5 or 7 watchmen who watched him 24 hours a day and 2 cooks to cook for him, because his father was tremendously rich. Thus there were 11 people who were constantly watching everything he did. Thus Raghunath Goswami wanted to run and follow the Lord to Jagannath Puri, but he could not. Then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went on the second trip, there he met Raghunath Goswami again. And Mahaprabhu gave him very nice instructions. He said, Makad Vairagya Naku Stirhao Garejao Nao Batur Krame Krame Pai Loka Bhavasindukur. Mahaprabhu said, don't be a madman. No? Stirhao Garejao, fix your mind, go home. Don't behave like a madman. Kram Kram Pai Lok Bhavasindukur. You should cross this ocean of birth and death step by step. Isn't it? Don't try and jump, otherwise you may experience some accident. Makar Varagya Nakore Lokere Dekan Yat Yoga Visai Bunj Anasaktahan. Priceless instructions. Don't be a monkey renunciant. No? 2 types of renunciant. One is Makat Vairagya, monkey renunciant. You know, monkey has no clothes. Monkey has raw food diet. No, I'm against raw food diet. But monkey lives in a solitary place. He has no clothes, no ashram, no house, only he eats very simply. But is monkey considered a great devotee? Is monkey considered a renunciant? No. Because inside he has desires to meet with millions and millions of lady monkeys. Therefore Mahaprabhu said, don't be a shoal bottle renunciant, a monkey renunciant. There's one river in India called Falgu. Isn't it, last year I went there. Really, you hear these things, you think it's not true until you go there. Very shallow. When we take a bath, we couldn't take a bath because it was so shallow, so we lied flat, and the water would go like this. And that was in the rainy season. So in the dry season, the river's completely just sand. It looks like there's no water there at all, but you dig a little bit under, and the water is running. So some people make a show of renunciation, only wearing underpants at the beach, meditating. But this is not, they have no real renunciation, because inside they are full of desires. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said, what's the use of making a show of meditation while contemplating the objects of enjoyment within the mind? That is hypocrisy. Yogita, you're doing that? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, don't do this, don't become a monkey. Instead, Mahaprabhu always suggested we should practice Yukta Vairagya. Why? Because someone is thinking, I renounce everything. That's illusion. Do you own anything that you can renounce? Imagine I said to Yogita, I renounce Yogita's car. What does that mean? Nothing, because it's not mine. How can I renounce it? So this idea, I will renounce, I will reject, this is one type of foolishness. It's actually the same thing as something, I will enjoy that, I will renounce that. These are mind. Sankalpa and Vikalpa. All the mind can do is, I will enjoy that, I will reject that. So this type of renunciation is one type of mental platform. It's not real. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, don't practice that. We should practice Yukta Vairagya. That verse is there, no? What is it? Nirbandha Yukta Sambandha Yuktam Vairagya Uchati. Means everything... Huh? No, that's another verse, Kiri. Okay. Kiri, shut up. Rupa Goswami gave instruction, don't pretend... Where would we be without Giri? Things would be so dull. Mahaprabhu said, don't become like a monk or renunciant. We should practice Yukta Vairagya. Yukta Vairagya means everything belongs to someone. Who has created this world? Yogita? God. Huh? Bhagawan. No. Bhagawan is who created Ganesh. Parvati created Ganesh. Therefore Ganesh has a beginning, he cannot be Bhagawan. Don't worry, hearing, everything becomes clear. No? So, everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. Therefore one should use everything in this world in a mood of spirit, a spirit of service. Everything belongs to Krishna, therefore use everything for Krishna's service. That's called Yukta Vairagya. For example, money. Is money good or bad? Depends, is a gun good or bad? Is a knife good or bad? Depends what you use with it. Is money inherently good or is it inherently bad? It depends what you do with it. Therefore, everything we can use for Krishna's service. Wealth, money, computers, pots, devotees, everything. That is proper renunciation. So we should use everything for Krishna's service, but don't try and enjoy it. Everything is for Him. This is called Yukta Vairagya. So Saraswati Thakur said, always remember the two main instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The difference between proper and improper renunciation, the difference between a liberated soul and a conditioned soul. Therefore, market Vairagya na kori loke dekan. Don't make a show of renunciation just to impress the public. Yata yoga visai burns anashaktahan. You should stay in this world and enjoy the objects of this world in a proper way. In a proper way means using everything for Krishna's service. Anashakta visayam yataham upayunjate nirbandhas yukta sambandha yukta vairagya uchate. Things should be accepted for the Lord's service and not for one's personal sense gratification. If one accepts something without attachment and accepts it because it is related to Krishna, one's renunciation is perfect. This is called Yukta Vairagya. Therefore, Antaranishta kore loka kore vyavahar achare Krishna tuma kore uda. Don't make a show of devotion. You should keep devotion inside your heart and behave like a normal person. Brindavan deki yabi asibe nilachal tabi tumi ami pas asi konachal. Then you may come to Navadvip. You may come to Jagannath Puri and meet me there. Therefore Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave good instructions to Raghunath. Therefore Raghunath returned home, and for 1 year more than 1 year he behaved completely perfectly. And his parents thought, very good, he has given up devotion. But inside his devotion he kept, and outside he behaved like a normal person. Afterwards he met Nityananda Prabhu, the original spiritual master. By the grace of Nityananda Prabhu, then he could escape and go to Jagannath Puri. So we will hear of that later on. So the Lord, now he was making his his third attempt to go to Vrindavan. So the devotee said, you take with you Balabhadra Bhattacharya, one devotee. So Gadadhar Pandit, he is the incarnation of Radharani. I cannot live without you. Therefore, he went there with the Lord. And the Lord would not let him come. Why? Because Gadadhar Pandit is Radharani. If Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was always with Radharani, then how the mood of Krishna may come? Therefore, for that reason, he checked him there. Don't come to Vrindavan. Therefore, Lord, because Gadadhar Pandit had taken a vow to always stay in the holy place of Jagannath Puri, but when he saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was leaving, he said, I will come with you. And Mahaprabhu said, no, you stay here, you're taking a vow. And he said, for you I can give up millions of vows. I will come. Although, therefore, Mahaprabhu did not agree. He did not like to see his devotees breaking their promises. So he refused to take Gadadhar Pandit and left, and Gadadhar Pandit fell unconscious, and the Lord disappeared. Therefore again, the Lord began his journey to Vrindavan. So you'll hear wonderful things, no? So, as the Lord went, you can imagine 500 years ago there was no highways, no trains, no cars. Everything was done by walking. Therefore the Lord, he came to the city of Cuttack after, when you go to the train to Jagannath Puri, there's Puri, then Cuttack. So the Lord passed through there, then he entered the forest and walked through the forest chanting the name of Krishna. In that forest there were innumerable tigers, elephants and bears, and seeing him they all gave way. The Lord was passing through the forest in great ecstasy. Packs of tigers, elephants, rhinos and boars came, and the Lord passed through the middle of them, because all were attracted by his beauty. The man who was with the Lord was very much afraid seeing these hundreds of millions of wild animals. But because of the Lord's influence, all the animals were peaceful and they parted. One day a tiger was lying on the path. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was absorbed in ecstasy. He touched the tiger with his foot. Prabhu kohe Krishna Vyaga Utila. Krishna Krishna kohe Vyagra Nachita Lagila. The Lord touched the tiger, and by the touch of the Lord, the tiger began chanting, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Another day the Lord was taking bath and many elephants were there. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu splashed water on them with his lotus hand, and all the elephants began chanting Krishna, Krishna. The elephants also began to chant and dance and sing. Some of the elephants fell to the ground in ecstasy, and some shouted, screamed very loudly. Seeing all this, Balabhadra was astonished. How is this possible, Yogita? We should not look at the body, we should understand that all souls are servant of the Supreme Lord. Understand? Only body is different. Okay, Giri?
Yes.
So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave them mercy, the original nature of the soul awoken. Therefore the elephants began chanting the name of Krishna. The tigers began chanting. So Krishna's voice, you can imagine how sweet. No? Sweeter than millions of cuckoos. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, his voice was so sweet. Millions and millions of deers followed. Deers, one weakness, deers like sweet music. So before, instead of shooting the deer from 10 miles away with a telescopic rifle, the hunters would play flutes and musical instruments, and deers would come to listen. Then they would be finished. Indeed, there's one story. You know the deity in Vrindavan? Banki Vihari. That deity was manifested by the great devotee Haridas. Haridas was an amazing singer. He would always sing about Krishna. He had two disciples. One was called Tangsen. They were always learning from him singing. So Tangsen went to the court of the Muslim king Akbar, and they were having a competition who was the best singer. So because Tangsen was a Hindu, he was thinking, I will not get proper judgment in the Muslim court. So he said, I don't believe any human being can be judged and impartial. Therefore the forest animals, they will be the judge. So Tangsen began singing. Have you heard this story? It's one book there, isn't it? Venugit, Guru Maharaj describes. So Tangsen began singing. So sweet was he singing, the deers were coming near him. The deers came right up to him. Tangsen took off his flower garland, put on the neck of the deer. And the deer, then he stopped singing, the deer became afraid and ran. And the other people, they were trying also to sing, but no deer would come. Then Tangsen began singing again. And the same deers came. Tangsen reached over, took off his garland off the neck of the deer and put it back on himself. So Guruji would say, even humans can sing like that, then what to speak of the singing of the Supreme Lord? How sweet. Therefore, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was singing, then hundreds of deers would follow behind him. The deers followed him on the left side and the right side. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in ecstasy. He was thinking of Vrindavan. The gopis said, Danya smamuda matayo api harinyeta yananda nandan upatra vichitra vesha akarna venu ranatam saha krishna sara pujam dadu vimuchitam pralanyavaloke. The gopis would say, how fortunate are the deers. Isn't it? They go near to Krishna with their own husbands. Isn't it? But we are human beings, but we cannot go to Krishna because our husbands are completely against Krishna. We cannot go. So everything Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw reminded him of Vrindavan. Therefore, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going, many deers were following. Tigers also came. Packs of tigers. The tigers also saw the beauty and the sweetness of the Lord. They also began following. This is God. Okay, Yogita. God means all attractive. All. And therefore, there are many names of God. We call one name of God is Krishna. Krish means to attract. By his beauty, he attracts everyone. Isn't it? This is proof. Sai Baba goes walking down the road. I don't think many deers would be following him. Hundreds and hundreds of deers, hundreds and hundreds of tigers were following behind him. Normally, tigers and deers are enemies. The Lord began chanting. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted another verse. This verse spoken by Krishna. Yatra nisarga durvaira sasamrigamrgadivi mitran vijayati vasa drutvayat kristanadikam. In Vrindavan there is no anger, there is no hunger, there is no thirst, there is no envy, there is no enmity. Although naturally inimical, human beings and fierce animals live together very nicely. Because one develops pure love of God, one never wants to hurt anyone. You're vegetarian, Yogita? Okay, very good. Therefore, one has love of Krishna, he loves everyone. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is chanting the holy name. Krishna Krishna koho kari prabhu yaba balila. Krishna koi vyagya mriga nachita lagila. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to the deers and the tigers, chant Krishna's name, chant Krishna's name. All the tigers and deers began Haribol, Krishna Krishna. Indeed, the tigers and deer began kissing each other. So Balabhadra, the human being he was watching, what is this? No suicide bombers there, no? Thus Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw this fun, he was smiling very happily. Therefore, as he walked towards Vrindavan, his absorption in Krishna increased millions and millions and millions and millions of times. So he was like this when he was outside Vrindavan. Who could imagine his condition when he entered Vrindavan? Anyone who heard the chanting or saw the Lord became a devotee. And when someone saw that person, they became a devotee. When someone saw that third person, they became a devotee. In this way, this chanting was spread through all countries, through the disciplic succession. Thus, the people throughout the world chanted the name of Krishna. They danced, cried, and laughed. The Lord did always not manifest his ecstasy, but in the jungle there was no one to see, therefore, full expression. Therefore, Mahaprabhu, he entered Vrindavan. To hear. So much is there. Forgive me, I'm skipping so much, but we only have one more day, no? How many more days I have? Tomorrow.
But you can actually do a class on
Thursday. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as he went through the jungle, he came to the great city of Varanasi. Have you heard of Varanasi? Your Gita's heard of Varanasi. Yes. We'll talk about it. We'll see what happens. So, there are two types of persons, Yogita. The impersonalists and the personalists. Those who believe God has no form, no activities. They're called impersonalists. We're called Gyanis. And those who believe that the Supreme Lord has an eternal form, eternal name, eternal activities, eternal devotees. They are called devotees, personalists, or Vaishnavas. Okay? Generic term. Hare Krishnas. So, those persons who follow the teachings of Sankaracharya believe that God has no form, then how they understand eternal devotion to the Supreme Lord? Their goal of life is merging with God. Do you want to merge with God, Yogita? Oh, how sad. If you merge with God, you cannot love Him. To love Him, you need two. If you merge with God, you cannot experience Him because there's no one left to experience. If you become chocolate, can you taste chocolate? Then better don't become chocolate. Better be separate from chocolate and taste. So, you're coming late, don't mind. So devotees, we reject merging with God. It's a waste of time. You cannot experience anything. Instead of becoming one with God, be separate from Him and love Him and serve Him. That is our goal. So two schools of thought, those who want to become chocolate and those who want to taste chocolate. So those who want to become chocolate, their leader was called Prakasananda Saraswati. We call them Mayavadis. Are you hearing again and again? You'll get to then everything clear. No? Don't run away after the class, please. They could not understand who is this person. He is always absorbed in chanting and dancing, the ecstasy of the holy name. They cannot understand the characters of a devotee. Therefore, they always sit in meditation. They have no happiness, no service, no nothing. Therefore, when the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to Varanasi, thousands and thousands of persons were attracted to him. And every day he would go and visit the deity of Lord Shiva there, Vishwanath Mahadev. And then he would pray to Lord Shiva, you are Guru, spiritual master. Please give me devotion to Lord Krishna. And thousands of persons would also chant and dance. Therefore word spread. There is a wonderful sannyasi. His effulgence is like molten gold. He is more attractive than millions of cupids. And he is giving pure love of Krishna to whoever comes within a 7-mile radius. Whoever comes within 7 miles of the Lord will achieve love of God. Therefore word was spreading. Ek sannyasi oila Jagannath hoite. There is one astonishing sannyasi. You know sannyasi? Okay. He's come from Jagannath Puri. I cannot properly describe his wonderful qualities. Everything about him is wonderful. This is all the history of Krishna who appeared 500 years ago in the form of a devotee to teach devotion to himself. Sakala deki tat adbhut katan prakanda sariya shuddha kanchana varan. Everything about that sannyasi is adbhut, means astonishing. Katan means his singing is astonishing. Prakanda sariya, his body is huge and astonishing. Shuddha kanchana varana, his golden effulgence is astonishing. Ajanalambito bhujo kamalanayan yata kichuri swar sarva sadalakshan. He has eyes like a lotus. A perfect soul has 32 symptoms. One, isn't it? 7 parts of their body are long. We won't get into that. Eyes are long, they go back to the ears. That is a symptom of Mahapurush. Doesn't look like anyone else here fitting into that category. Pankaj. He's going to get plastic surgery to become Bollywood Baba. Also, a great soul, Mahapurush, their hands stretched down to their knees. What are they? Their hands stretched down to their knees. Trying to teach me English? Therefore, everything about him is perfectly formed. Not like that. His arms stretched to his knees. His eyes are long like lotuses. He has all the symptoms of the Supreme Person. Anyone who sees him thinks this is the Supreme Lord. Narayan. Krishna Sankirtan. Whoever sees him immediately begins to chant the name of Krishna. Mahabhagavat Lakshan Suni Bhagavate. We have heard of the symptoms of the topmost devotee, that is called Mahabhagavat. We skip that. 3 types of devotees. Understand? Kanishta. In Sanskrit, Kanishta, that means Kanishta. You can remember. Small finger. Beginning devotee. What are their symptoms? They have faith in Krishna. But they do not know how to properly respect the devotees or even the common persons. Kanishta. Superior to them is the Madhyamadika. They have love for Krishna. Love for Krishna's devotees. They make friendship with those who are equal. They serve those who are superior to them, and they give mercy to those who are less than them. And they avoid the envious. Madhyamadi. They have the same faith in Guru as Krishna. They chant continuously, except when they sleep. cannot chant then. Their devotion is not so high. But the pure and perfect devotees, 24 hours they chant. Anyone who sees them chants. Okay? Anyone who sees them chants the holy name. Like Gurudev, in 86, Guruji had an open heart surgery. Open heart surgery, now they do stents and all that type of stuff. Back then, no. They separate the rib cage, right? And directly operate on the heart. So you can imagine how much unconscious you have to be for someone to do all that. So the doctors had his Gurudev's rib cage open, they were operating, and his lips were moving. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. All those doctors became his disciples. So this is perfect devotee. 24 hours they chant. If you see them, you chant. Such is their influence. No? Gokishodas Babaji Maharaj, that means our Gurudev's Guru, Guru's Guru. Gokishodas Babaji Maharaj. In order to instruct us of the debilitating effects of materialistic association, non-devotee association, he locked himself in a toilet, Indian toilet. 100 years ago, there's no flush system. Understand how? We're getting close to the idea. He locked himself in the toilet, and 10 days chanted continuously. Many people came because he was very famous. Babaji Maharaj, come out, please come out. I cannot come, I am sick, I cannot open the door, he would say. Except when our Gurudev's Guru went, he was a young boy, 16 or 17. Oh, Babaji Maharaj, please open the door. I cannot open, I am sick. No, we have come from our Gurudev, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. We are his disciples. Please open the door. Oh, you are my disciple's disciple. Open. Isn't it? Then Babaji Maharaj gave them darshan. So he blessed Param Gurudev that time. I bless, you should just preach the holy name, and I take away all your obstacles. That was his blessing. So Param Gurudev, when he remembered that, he would always cry. So many problems came, but by his blessing they never disturbed him. And the Prabhupada used to say, sometimes the grandfather is more affectionate than the father. No? So he would say that. No? So, all this had a point, yes. The Mahabhagavad, they're so powerful. If you see them, you will chant the holy name. I'll tell you one more story, then I'll move on. You know Sudadvaiti Maharaj? He told me the story. No? Srila Govindra Maharaj, he was also Mahabhagavad, but even Mahabhagavad, the symptom of the higher class devotee, they think, I have no devotion. Even perfect devotees, they're always looking for guidance. Not that I became perfect, now I don't need guidance. No? That is a symptom of devotion. One is always looking for higher guidance, even though he's perfect. Because the perfect devotee never thinks I am perfect. He always thinks I have no devotion. So, Srila Govindra Maharaj also had a Shiksha Guru, disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But someone on that platform of devotion, you cannot understand their activities. Therefore, Srila Govindra Maharaj would say, none of my disciples can go and see him. You will not understand him. And if you even think anything bad about him, you will lose all your devotions. He is on such a platform. But he used to come to Bhubaneswar, the Srila Govindra Maharaj would go, and Govindra Maharaj had so many disciples. But when he would see them, Govindra Maharaj would fall on the ground like a stick, touch his feet. You know. Then they would go in their room and talk. So much Hare Katha. So when he came out, Sudadvaiti Maharaj was saying, there was 5, 6, 7 senior persons there. And Babaji Maharaj, when he would start, he would just embrace them one by one. And everyone would start weeping. So Sudadvaiti Maharaj, he told me that when Babaji Maharaj embraced him, he started Krishna, Krishna. He couldn't stop chanting. He said, first time in his life, the holy name appeared on his tongue. Krishna, Krishna. He said, I wasn't chanting. The holy name was coming from me. Then afterwards he asked Srila Govindra Maharaj, what happened? I never chanted like that before. And Srila Govindra Maharaj smiled. He said, Maharaj is on such a platform, he cannot give instruction. If he wants to give you mercy, he just hugs you. And then he said, then how the holy name came from my mouth automatically. Then Srila Govindra Maharaj said, we hear the symptoms of the perfect devotee. Just by seeing them, you chant the holy name. Understand? So this is the symptom of the topmost devotee. No? So we associate with the topmost devotee, then very quickly the holy name will come on our tongues. No? So we should always pray for that type of sangha. If you're lucky, you can find. If you're not sincere, you cannot find. You'll be cheated. So many stories like that. So even the pure devotee has that type of power. Then what to speak of the Supreme Lord in the mood of Radharani? What type of influence He will have? Therefore, we have heard about the symptoms of the top-notch devotee. They make everyone into Vaishnavas. All these symptoms are manifested in the body of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, we accept Him as the Supreme Lord Krishna Himself. Niranta Krishnam Jivataragai. The name of Krishna is constantly on His tongue. Duimetra Survahi Ganga Daraprai. And the tears are flowing from His eyes constantly like the river Ganga. Kshaninache Hasegai. Kore Krandan Ksane Hunkar Kore Shinghera Gajan. He dances, laughs, sings and cries. Sometimes he roars like a lion. His name is Krishna Chaitanya. His name is Krishna Chaitanya. His name is all auspicious. Everything about Him, His name, His form, His activities is completely unparalleled. Simply by seeing Him, one can understand He possesses all the symptoms of the Supreme Lord. What's the symptoms of Bhagavan, Yogita? Don't make it up. Say I don't know, then is it? What are the symptoms of that? So many people go on Google search. Kali Yuga incarnation. One time we looked, there's like 57 separate guys. I'm the incarnation of Kali Yuga. No, I am. And they begin fighting. What are the symptoms? Therefore, these are the symptoms. Therefore, Prakashanandi, he's one of the guys who want to become chocolate. Those who want to become God, one with God, then how will they understand God? Impossible. God can only be understood by devotion. Therefore, Prakashananda Saraswati laughed. Ha! That wasn't convincing, was it? Sunyache Gauda Deshe Sannyasi Babuk. I have heard of this sannyasi from Gauda Desh. He is a sentimentalist. Babuk means, what's English for Babuk? A pretender. A sentimentalist. And yes, moved by emotions. He is a disciple of Keshav Bharati. He is only a pretender. I know his name is Chaitanya, and he moves around with other fanatics. His followers are fools just like him. He tours the country and dances and chants with them. Yatari Dekisa Ishwa Korimani. Whoever sees him accepts him as the Supreme Lord. He has some magic powers by which he hypnotizes the fools and they become illusioned. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a greatly learned scholar, but he has also become a madman by associating with this Chaitanya. Sannyasi Nam Matra Maha Indajali. He is a sannyasi only in name. He is a magician. But I think he will not sell his magic show here in Varanasi. Vedanta Shravan Kore, do not go and see that sannyasi. Wow, did I have a flashback? Do not go and see this Chaitanya. Don't go. Just continue hearing Vedanta. If you associate with pretenders, you will lose this life and the next life. What is this called, Yogita? This is called blasphemy of the Supreme Lord. Thus, when the devotees heard him speaking, they felt unlimited suffering. So when they told that to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he smiled. And what did he say? While finding fault with you, he said your name 3 times. Chaitanya, Chaitanya, Chaitanya. Even though he spoke Chaitanya, 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 he never said Krishna. He can only chant Brahma, Jiva, Atma, things like that. Then the devotee asked the Lord why he could not chant the name Krishna. Just by seeing you, I am chanting Krishna 24 hours, but why he cannot chant Krishna? Prabhu koye mayavadi Krishna paradi. Brahma Atma Chaitanya kohi niravadi. They are make offense to the Supreme Lord Krishna. Did God have a form, Yogita? Okay, good. Some people say God has no form. Those who say God has no form are atheists, because they're saying He doesn't exist. Have you ever seen something without a form? Therefore, saying that God has no form is the same as saying He does not exist. Therefore, it's an offense. They're denying His eternal form. They deny His eternal activities. They deny His eternal devotion. Therefore, they're offenders to Krishna. Because they're always criticizing Krishna, they cannot chant His name. Therefore, Ataivatar na aise Krishnanam, because they are always blaspheming the Supreme Lord, they cannot chant His name. Thus the holy name does not come on their tongues. Nam Vigraha Sarup Tin Ekrup Tin Veda Nahi Tin Chidananda Rup. Krishna, His name, Vigraha, His form, and Sarup, His nature, these are all non-different. Krishna's form is not like our form. Our form is material. Krishna's form is not material. There's a difference between our soul and our body, right? But Krishna doesn't have that problem, because He has a spiritual body. Inside and outside Krishna is the same. Therefore, Krishna's name, His body, and His nature are all non-different. All are Satchidananda, composed of eternality, knowledge, and bliss. I'm never going to finish this. What can you do? How you can give up nectar and go to some other nectar? Therefore, Deya Nam Nami Krishna Nahi Ved Jeev Saravata Hoilo Vived. There is no difference between Krishna's body and Krishna. There is no difference between Krishna's name and Krishna. But as far as the conditioned souls in this world, everything they have is different. Your name, what was your name? Your name wasn't Yogita when you were born, right? Your name changes, but Krishna's name never changes. Your body has changed so much, right? You were small, then became young, now this age, soon you'll be old. Your body is always changing. Krishna never changes. Your nature's changed, right? But Krishna's nature never changes. Therefore, there's no difference between Krishna, His name, and His personality. All are completely spiritual. But all the souls in this world, their names, forms, and qualities are always changing. Therefore, Ateva Krishnanam Deha Vilas Prakrit Indriya Grahine Hoye Swaprakash. Krishna's name, His form, and His activities can never be understood by the material senses. They are all transcendental. They can only be understood by devotion. And Mahaprabhu gave so much an explanation of the holy name. Then the devotees, Ateva Krishnanam na oisi tarimuk, those who do not accept Krishna's form are great offenders. One should never see their face. They never chant the holy name. Then Mahaprabhu said, I have carried a big basket of love of God here. If I cannot find any customers, I'll have to give it away free. You understand? If someone imagine that you have a farm and you bring all your vegetables to LA, 100 kilos of zucchini, and you cannot sell, no one's buying, what are you going to do? Take all the zucchini back to the farm? What do you do? Okay, just take. Take. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, there's no customers, no one wants to buy my devotion. Therefore I will have to give it for free. I remember when Gurudev first came to Australia, first time. I remember. Amazing. Because some people had 1 Guru, 2 Guru, 3 Guru, 4 Guru. Therefore people had so much suspicion. Also Gurudev, beard, ISKCON don't have beards. Gurudev friendly and compassionate. Anyway. Humble, full of knowledge, used to chant the holy name day and night. So people weren't used to that kind of experience. They were always seeing with so much suspicion, doubt, checking him out, how is this, what is this? So Gurudev, the first thing he said, he sat down. I have not come here to take anything. I'm an old man. I only eat this much rice. And Gurudev said, I don't have to fly halfway around the world for this much rice. I can get that anywhere. Said, I have not come here to take anything, I have come to give. And he said the same thing. I have come with a full basket. And I am giving for free. But Gurudev said, if no one takes, I have no problem at all. I just take my basket back to Vrindavan. Therefore, Mahaprabhu said, I have come with a big basket of love of Krishna. If I cannot find any customers, I will have to take it back home. I have brought a heavy load to sell in the city. If I take it again back, that will be a great difficulty. Therefore, even if I have to sell it at a great discount, anyhow I will get rid of it here in the city of Varanasi. Thus the Lord was thinking, I will give them mercy anyway. And then from there he went to Mathura. When he came back to Mathura to Varanasi, then he met with Sanatana Goswami, so continue the story from there. The devotees said, we are very sad, they are always criticizing you. Please you go to the Mayavad. You know in Mayavad, they wear the lines like that? He said, anyone who wears like this, 3 lines, they're so sinful. Just seeing their face, you have to take bath with all your clothes on. So much bad. They do not accept devotion. They do not accept the Supreme Lord. They do not accept the eternality of the individual soul. So very wrong idea, no? Anyway, the Lord is so kind. They were having a big religious seminar, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went there. Hang in there, Yogita, you'll be okay. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went there, all the sannyasis, like me, sitting on a big throne, look how great I am. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he taught us humility is the essence of devotion. That much you have humility, that much you have devotion, that much you'll be humble. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as spiritual master of the 3 worlds, what did he teach? When he went there, he didn't go and sit on the big throne. What did he do? He sat where everyone washed their feet. And then to attract them, he showed some effulgence from his body like millions of suns. So all the thousands of sannyasis saw him. And they thought, who is this person who can make such an effulgence? They went and they grabbed his hand. The leader of the Mayavadis, Prakasananda Saraswati. He took the hand. Suno, Sribat. Oh great soul, why are you sitting in a dirty place? Please, come up. And he took the Lord there and he asked him a question. You are greatly fortunate you took initiation from Keshav Bharati. Therefore you are also in the same group as us, he was thinking. But please tell us, what is the duty of sannyasi? The duty of sannyasi is to study Vedanta and meditate. But you are not doing these activities. And then you should be sitting like this. Shivaham, Shivaham, Shivaham. Do you chant? You don't chant that mantra, do you? Shivaham? Oh, you're lucky. Oh no, you do. Don't, that mantra is very wicked. Shivaham, are you Shiva? Shivaham, Shivaham. Then Durga, you know Durga? She becomes very angry, anyone who chants that mantra. You are my husband? Therefore sometimes you see Durga wearing a necklace of skulls. Have you seen it? And she wears many arms. Whose heads are those? Those who chant Shivoham, Shivoham. How much she becomes angry. You are my husband? You think you're my husband? Even though I went up to your husband and said, hey, Yogita, what would your husband do? How much he'd be angry. Then Durga, she cuts off their heads and makes a necklace, cuts off their arms and makes a skirt. Anyone who chants that mantra. So, the duty of a sannyasi is to meditate and study Vedanta, but you are not doing that. You are simply chanting and dancing in the streets. Why? Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave his glorification of the holy name. And afterwards he gave his explanation of the Vedanta. So very quickly we can hear something. Mahaprabhu said, after initiation I went to my Guru. And my Gurudev said, you are a fool. You have no brain to study Vedanta. Murka tumi nahika Vedanta adhikar. Tumi sara Krishnam japo Krishna mantra sad. You are a fool. You should not study Vedanta. You have no brain. You should just chant the name of Krishna. Krishna mantra hoite hobe samsara mochan. Krishna nam jape pabe Krishna charan. Just chant the name of Krishna, the mantra of Krishna. The mantra of Krishna will give you liberation. And by chanting the name of Krishna, you will achieve the feet of Krishna. Then my Gurudev taught me one verse. He said, always keep this verse around your neck like a garland. If you have a garland, you always know that garland is there, no? Especially a heavy garland. And what was that verse? Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, kalo nasteva 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 gatir anyata. We'll write this for you. You can learn it, Yogita. Always wear it on your neck. The name of Krishna, the name of Krishna, the name of Krishna. In this age of Kali Yuga, you know Kali Yuga? In this age of Kali Yuga, there is no other way to achieve perfection. No other way, no other way, no other way. Is it clear? That it comes from the Brihanakya Upanishad. In this age of Kali, there is no other way, no other way, no other way, except the name of Krishna, except the name of Krishna, and except the name of Krishna. Hare Krishna didn't write the Brihanakya Upanishad. That was written by Vyasa. So always think of that verse. No? Then his guru initiated him to the chanting of Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And we discussed already on the second day. What happened when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took initiation and chanted the holy name? The holy name, remember, Yogita, we were saying the name is not different than Krishna. Say Hare Krishna. Did you see Krishna? Did you see Krishna when you chanted? No. Why not? The name of Krishna is not different than Krishna. So technically, if we chant Hare Krishna, we should see Radha Krishna. Why we are not seeing? Offensive. That means we are not technically chanting the name of Krishna. We're chanting syllables. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not have that problem. As soon as he chanted Hare Krishna, he saw Krishna. And because in the mood of Radharani, he ran to embrace. And Krishna disappeared. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began weeping. Then he went to his guru. Ki mantra dibo gosai, ki mantra bal, japate, japate, koile pagal. What mantra you gave me? What is the power of that mantra? This mantra has made me mad. This mantra makes me weep. This mantra is making me dance. This mantra is making me roll on the ground. Gurudev, what happened to me? All my knowledge is gone. I became a madman. Guru became very happy, embraced it. Welcome to the club. And all these things we discussed already. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told this history of his initiation and his experience with the name of Krishna to all the Mayavad sannyasis who were listening. Then his guru said, my dear son, isn't it? Krishna Visayaka Prem Pancha Purusata Taraga Trinatula Charu Purusata. There are 4 goals of life chased by normal persons. Religiosity, Dharma, Artha, Karma, Moksha. Have you heard of them? I'll get to you. You know everything. Just need a bit of polishing. That's all. Dharma, Artha, Karma, Moksha. What do you want? What's your goal of life? Liberation? But devotees reject liberation. We already discussed. Therefore, people in this world want 4 things. Mostly want 3 things. They want, when they perform good activities in this world, they go to the heavens and enjoy celestial virgins there for millions of years. That is called dharma. Be good, enjoy. Second is called artha, enjoying in this world, economic wealth. Third, calm, sense enjoyment. And out of those persons, very few people want liberation. And out of those who are liberated, very few are liberated. But these 4 things are all rejected by the devotees. This is called cheating. Dharma prajita koitavotra paramani matsaranam satam. Why it's called cheating, Yogita? Why you want to become liberated? For your own enjoyment, right? Cheating. Wow, Hare Krishna movement's pretty tough, isn't it? No wonder no one joins. Especially after my classes. What everyone is chasing in this world, the Bhagavatam says is cheating, duplicity. Understand? Because you don't want to serve Krishna. Why you want to become liberated? To serve Krishna or for your own pleasure. Therefore, Dharma, Artha, Karma, Moksha are all forms of cheating, crooked religion. Therefore, his Gurudev embraced Mahaprabhu and said, you are very lucky, you have tasted the 5th goal of life. Get a t-shirt, Prem. 5th goal of life. Panch Purusata. Krishna Prem, pure love of Krishna. Dharma, Artha, Karma, Moksha. And above that is What does the t-shirt say? Krishna Prem. Make sure you spell it right. Krishna Prem. Therefore, my son, you are very fortunate. You have understood the fifth goal of life, love for Krishna. Love for Krishna is like an ocean of happiness. And these four things are not even equal to one drop of that happiness. Therefore, my dear boy, continue chanting the holy name in the assembly or in the association of devotees. Your life is perfect, now you make others perfect. So when the Mayavadi sannyasis heard Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's own experience, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained the real meaning of Vedanta. The time is not there. All the Mayavadis became completely, they'd left everything. And they also began Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. All became absorbed in the ecstasy of Krishna Prem. Sachinandan Gaura Hare Ki Jai. But that happened after the Lord came back from Vrindavan. But I skipped it. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered Mathura Mandal, 64 square miles of Vrindavan. Have you been to India? You never went to Vrindavan, did you? No. Huh? Waste of time. It says, one Kavi he wrote, Vrindavan par pag pag prayag rajaya keshe ke kele kunja kunja koti koti kasi hai Yamuna me Jagannath renuka kamara rameswara yaha Gopyanka dwar dwar vasatya haridwar yaha Swarga upavarga sukle ke karenge yaha Hami tu Shri Vrindavan navasi hai. One devotee sang. How glorious is Vrindavan! Why? Every speck of dust touched by the feet of Radharani. Vrindavan par pag pag prayag rajayaha. Every grain of sand there is Prayag. You know Prayag, Yukita? Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati meet? Don't worry, just say yes. And that's it. Every speck of dust, people go all over from India, they go to the holy places like these because they don't know the glories of Vrindavan. Every speck of dust, there is millions and millions of Prayags. Basatya Haridwar Yaha. You know Haridwar? Oh, you really never went to North India. These are the holy places in North India. Haridwar. Everyone goes there. Why waste your time going there? Just come to Vrindavan. Haridwar means the door of Hari. But in Vrindavan, every single house is a door of Hari because Krishna is inside in the form of the deity. Isn't it? Mirabai, she sang, no? Gare gare tulasi thakur seva Bhojana duda dahiko Ale mohilage Vrindavananiko. Means every house in Vrindavan, even now, every house, Krishna is there. The worship of Krishna is there. So every door in Vrindavan, that is Haridwar. Have you heard of Rameshwaram? You must have heard that. That's in South India. Therefore, every grain of dust there is Prayag, every door is Haridwar, Yamuna Med Raghunath, Rameshwara Yaha. In the river there is Jagannath, in the Yamuna there is millions of Rameshwaras. Vrikshka Dal Dal Asaka Koti Ayodhya Navasi hai. Every tree of Vrindavan there's millions of Ayodhyas. There's Swarga Upavarga Suk Karenge Yaha. What happiness you find in the heavenly planets, whatever happiness you find in liberation, you will find that millions of times here in Vrindavan. Therefore that the poet he sang, Metu Vrindavan Nivasi, I am a resident of Braj. There were devotees, like Narottam Das Thakur said, why waste your time visiting all the holy places? Sarva Siddhi Govinda Charan, all perfection is there in Vrindavan at the feet of Govinda. All this had a point. What was the point? Thank you. We already left the Mayavadis there. So when Mahaprabhu entered Vrindavan, the 64 square mile place of Mathura Manda, then the entry door is Mathura. Isn't it? Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came to Mathura, what did he do? He went to the deity of Kesha. Why our Param Gurudev called his temple Kesaji Gauriya Math? Because the presiding deity, the Matulu is Kesavji. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went there, he took bath in Vishram Ghat. And there his love of God is like an ocean. Everywhere the Lord went, people were astonished to see His influence. Wherever He went, millions of cows came to meet Him. Why? Oh, our Krishna has come back after a long time. Just wait. Everywhere the Lord went, He was absorbed day and night in the ecstasy of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Just a little kirtan. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Radhe Radhe, Govinda Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Govinda Govinda, Govinda Govinda. Vrindavana mein Radhe Radhe, Govardhana mein, Keshi Ghat mein, Vamsi Vat mein, Govardhana mein, Radhe Radhe, Manasi Ganga mein, Gaudiya Mat mein, Hey Gaudiya Mat mein, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe. Awaz mein aaye, Govinda Govinda, prem se bolo, jo se bolo, Govinda Govinda, Govinda Govinda, Govinda Govinda. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Gopremanandi. Laksha Sankhya Loka Oiste Nahike Gaman. Hundreds of thousands of people flocked to see him. No one could count them. And when the Lord would see them, he would say, Haribol, Haribol. All the citizens would raise their hands and chant, Haribol, Haribol. Come on, Yogita, you can do it. Haribol. Say, Haribol. Thus, as if mad, all began to chant and dance the name of Krishna. In Mathura there are 24 bathing places. The Lord took bath in each of the 24. He went to the 12 different forests. He visited Swayambhu, Vishram, Dirga Vishnu, Bhuteshwar, Mahavidya, Gokanandi, Dakila Vista. All these places we go every year on Vrindavan Parikrama. Remember Dirga Vishnu? Do you remember? Just say yes. Bhuteshwara. Remember? Bhuteshwar Mahadev, Vishram Ghat, Gokan, the place of Gokana. All these places we go. He visited the 12 forests, including Madhuvan, Talvan, Kumudvan, Bahulavan. All these places we go. You coming in October? Don't get to just say yes. All these 12 forests, every year we visit with Gurudev. Thus Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed. And when the cows saw him, they would all follow him and lick him. They remember, our Krishna has come back. When the cows came, the Lord became stunned in ecstasy. He chanted the verses from the Bhagavad Puran in the mood of the gopis. The coward men tried to stop the cows, but no one could check. All the cows were following the Lord. When the deer saw the Lord's face, they also came near him, not afraid at all, and the Lord would stroke them. The birds and bumblebees, seeing the Lord, they also began talking. When the trees saw the Lord, their twigs would stand on end in ecstasy. They would cry, honey. Exactly the same as when Krishna was in Vrindavan. Thus all the moving and non-moving entities became full of love, seeing Krishna has returned. It was as if friends were made happy by meeting another after a long time. Seeing their affection for him, Mahaprabhu also became absorbed in love. He voluntarily came under their control. This is the nature of the Lord. The Lord embraced and touched each tree and each creeper. And also they would drop their flowers and offer their fruits to him. Thus he was always in ecstasy, chanting Krishna, Krishna. All moving and non-moving entities in Vrindavan began vibrating. Stavara Jangamili Kore Krishna Dani. All the trees, creepers, stones, animals all began Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. As if echoing the chanting of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu would grasp the necks of the deers and weep. The parrots would argue. They would fly in his hand and they would speak verses. The male parrot and female parrot began arguing, and Mahaprabhu was hearing. There are so many things. The female parrot's always glorifying Radharani, and the male parrot's always glorifying Krishna. The male parrot would say, Krishna is the topmost, he is the attractor of Cupid. And the lady parrot would say, only when Radharani is there, then he has power, otherwise he has no power. The parrots were arguing amongst them, Mahaprabhu was hearing. When we go there, what do we hear? Arr, arr. We cannot hear the transcendental arguments of the birds of Braj. Therefore, Vrindavan Briksko Maramana Jana Koi Dal Dal Patra Patra Radhe Radhe Koi. What's wrong? Wire. Is that better? Someone says it's not better, now we can hear you. Hare Krishna.
Gain down, volume up.
Maybe we're going to do it for them. We do it, don't we help them? Okay, thank you, that's clear. So, in other words, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu completely absorbed in the mood of Krishna. Therefore, he did not stay in Vrindavan long, as you can see. And Guru Maharaj would say, why he did not stay in Vrindavan? If he stayed in Vrindavan, the mood of Krishna would come. Cows licking, birds singing. Mahaprabhu did not come to this world to taste the mood of Krishna, he came to taste the mood of Radharani. Therefore, he did not stay long. Therefore, peacocks walked past. You know, have you seen peacock? What color is their neck? Blue. What color is Krishna? Dark blue. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the neck of the peacock, he fell unconscious. That time with the Lord was Balabhadra, who followed him from Jagannath Puri. Therefore they began sprinkling water on the Lord to wake him and fanning him with their cloth. That time, when the Lord would roll, the thorns on his body would scratch the thorns on the ground. Have you heard of Pujapad Janardhan Maharaj? Have you heard of him, Bhakti Jivana Janardhan Maharaj? You know Madhusudan Maharaj? He is spiritual master. He would go behind Maharaj, and the pelican would fall on the ground and also roll. And the thorns would cut him. He had No bodily, only Radhe, Radhe, Radhe. Pran Kishore told me wonderful stories of him. When he would chant the holy name, he would chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Radhe. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Radhe. Then someone asked him, Pran Kishore told me he saw him in him. Just up and down, he would walk up and down his room, Radhe, 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 Radhe. No one was in his room, day and night, Radharani. He was Shiksha Guru of Gurudev. He would lead all the Brajamanu Parikrams after the disappearance of Param Gurudev. People say we think Gurudev is Rasik. When they heard, then he was, not that Gurudev is not Rasik, I'm not saying. But when Srila Janata Maharaj would speak, everyone would weep. Bhaman Maharaj, Trivikram Maharaj, all Gurudev, all would weep. Such was his love for Radhika. No? So someone asked Maharaj, why are you chanting Radha at the end of the Mahamantra? He said, 8 names are for Krishna, 8 names for Radharani. But if I don't give something extra to Radharani, my mind is not happy. So, Hare Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, absorbed in ecstasy. The Lord's ecstatic love increased 1,000 times when he came to Mathura. And when he came to Vrindavan, his ecstasy increased millions of times. One day when he was chanting, hang on, I missed something. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was chanting, he fell to the ground in ecstasy. Some foam was coming from his mouth. Here it is. This is very important. I'll finish this history then off. Tomorrow morning we'll do Rupa Shiksha. That is very important. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also had some other persons who would accompany him, and amongst was the Sanodiya Brahman. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to Mathura, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing in ecstasy. Then there was another god brother of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who also took initiation from Madhavendra Puri. When he saw the ecstasy in Mahaprabhu, then the Brahman went. Well, Mahaprabhu went to the Brahman, I cannot remember, and he said, you must have a connection with Madhavendra Puri, otherwise you cannot have love of Krishna. Then that Brahman said, yes, I am his disciple. When he came here, he stayed in my house and took prasad from me. So Mahaprabhu also went there and stayed in his house and took prasad. So that Sanodiya Brahman, Balabhadra Bhattacharya, who came from Jagannath Puri with the Lord, and 2 Bengalis. It was a Rajput, Krishnadas, and 2 Bengalis. So there was like 5 or 6. They were walking here and there. And suddenly one cowherd boy blew his flute that entered the ear of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He became mad and fell unconscious. Thus, while the Lord was lying unconscious, some Muslim soldiers came back from Turkey. That time India was invaded by Muslim forces. So, there was 10 of them, cavalry soldiers. So when they came there, what did they see? One sannyasi is lying unconscious and these 4 guys were there. They thought these guys must have given some drug to this boy and they had taken his gold. Therefore, these 4 rogues must have taken away the sannyasi's wealth and killed him by giving him poison. Because some foam maybe was from the Lord's mouth also. Thus the 10 Muslim soldiers arrested these 4 guys and they're thinking we will kill them. They're criminals, we will put them to death. No 3-strike system there. Thus, 2 Bengalis began shaking. Oh my God, we're going to be killed. But Krishnadas was a Rajput, a Chatra. He was not afraid. Then the Muslim soldier said, you are criminals, you have stolen the gold. Then the Rajput said, we're not criminals, you are criminals. He lied. In the forest I have 200 soldiers. If I whistle, they'll come, kill you, and will take your horses and your saddles. This sannyasi is my spiritual master. I am from Mathura, I am a Brahmin. I know many people. This sannyasi sometimes falls unconscious because of epilepsy. Sit down and you'll see he is not dead. We have not poisoned him. He is okay. Thus, the soldiers were talking. They didn't know what to do. Therefore, That time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to his senses and very loudly chanted, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. The Lord raised his arms and began dancing in ecstasy. Thus the Lord, his shout was so loud the Muslims became dumbstruck. They became full of fear, and his dancing was very charming. Thus, they were confused. What is this? What is happening? Therefore the sannyasis came and fell at the Lord's feet and said, these 4 men have given you some drug to make you unconscious and mad, and they have taken your wealth. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, they are not criminals, they are my friends, my associates, and I am a sannyasi, I do not have any wealth. That were the good old days, no? Due to epilepsy, I sometimes fall unconscious, and out of their kindness, these 4 men look after me. Thus, with those 10 Muslim soldiers was one mullah. Some people called him a saintly person. He had great knowledge of the Quran. The heart of that saintly person had already melted seeing the Lord's beauty and his ecstasy. Thus there was a discussion on the basis of the Quran. The scholar tried to present the impersonal concept of God. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, on the basis of the Quran, destroyed all his arguments. And Guruji would always say, Ya inalaha men suratin. Quran says, Allah Koda made man as if looking in a mirror. Bible says, God made man in his own image. Therefore, God also has a form. He is not formless. Therefore, whatever arguments the Muslim scholar put forward, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu refuted all his arguments, and the scholar became stunned. He could not answer, he could not speak. Prabhu kohe tumar shastra stapit nirvishesh. Almost finished, Yogita, hang in there. The Quran certainly establishes that the Supreme Lord is formless. But at the end of the Quran, it establishes the Supreme Lord's personality. Tumar shastra kohe shesh eka iyeswara. At the end of the Quran also accepts there is one Supreme Controller. He is possessed of unlimited opulences, and he has a blackish complexion. Sachidananda Deha Punana Brahma Sarup Sarvatma Sarvagya Nitya Sarvadi Swarup. According to the Quran, the Lord has a supreme, blissful, transcendental body. He is the absolute truth. He is all-pervading, omniscient, and He is the eternal person. He is the source of everything. Creation, maintenance, and destruction come from Him alone. He is the original shelter of everything, both gross and subtle. Sarva Shrest, Sarva Aradhya Karane Karan, Tad Bhakti Hoye Jive Samsarat Taran. He is the supreme truth. He is worshipped by everyone. He is the cause of all causes. By engaging in His service, the living entity achieves liberation. No conditioned soul can escape the clutches of illusion without serving the Supreme Lord. And love of Krishna is the ultimate goal of life. Mokshadi Anandiya Nahi Ekakan. The happiness of liberation wherein one merges into the Lord's existence cannot be compared to a fragment of the transcendental bliss obtained by serving Krishna. Okay, can you understand, Yogita? Try and understand. In the Quran, there are descriptions of materialistic activity, knowledge, mystic power, and merging with God. At the end of the Quran, all this is rejected, and His Lord's personal feature is established along with His service. You know the Quran back to front. You yourself can deliberate and understand the truth of what I am saying. Malecha koi ye kaha se satyahai. Malecha means meat eater. Malecha does not mean a particular race of persons. The Muslim said, everything you are saying is completely true. This is certainly written in the Quran, but I cannot understand it, neither can the other scholars. They describe the Lord's impersonal aspect. They hardly know that the Lord is a person and is worshipful. They are undoubtedly lacking this knowledge. Understand? Since you are that same Supreme Person, please be kind to me, I am very fallen. And that Muslim fell at the feet of the Lord. I have studied the Muslim scripture very extensively, but I cannot understand what is the goal of life or how to achieve it. Tuma deki jive mor bade Krishna nam ami baragani e galiya brahman. Now I've seen you, my tongue is chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. The false prestige I felt from being a scholar is destroyed. Saying this, that Muslim fell at the feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We cannot say Muslim now, we say Vaishnava. And he requested, please tell me the goal of life and how to achieve it. Mahaprabhu said, get up, you have chanted the name of Krishna. Therefore your sins over millions of lifetimes are burned to ashes. You are now pure. Krishna kaha, koili upadesh. Mahaprabhu said, chant the name of Krishna. That is the goal and the process. Thus, all began absorbed, chanting the holy name, absorbed in love of God. In this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu directly initiated those 10 Muslims by advising them all to chant the holy name of Krishna. The Muslim's name was changed to Ram Das. Another of the Pathan Muslims, that means Afghanistan, past Punjab, that side. His name was Vajuli Khan. His name was changed to Krishna Das. Those 11 guys made a traveling Sankirtan party. They were called the Pathan Vaishnavas. And they spread the glories of the holy name throughout the land. Vajuli Khan, he fell at the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu put his foot on his head. All those Pathan Muslims gave up becoming soldiers and became traveling monks, sannyasis. Later these very Pathans became celebrated as the Pathan Vaishnavas. They toured all over the country and chanted the glorious activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Madam Mohan, when are you ready? When will you be ready? One day you'll have to go. Gurudev also told me once, you will have to preach in Muslim countries. And I said, can't you find anyone else? I remember. I said that. I was joking. Thus, Vajuli Khan became a greatly advanced Vaishnava devotee, and his glories were sung in all the holy places. Therefore, we should never judge anyone by birth, we judge them by their devotion. No? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed unlimited pastimes. No? So, he went to Vrindavan. After Vrindavan, he came back to Prayag. That is the meeting place of the Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati. And then Prayag, he met the devotee Rupa Goswami. So finally, tomorrow morning we will do both. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions on Rupa Goswami. Very, very important. Can you come tomorrow, Yogita? Huh? What she said? Is that far? Try and come. Okay. That's right, walk. Beg, borrow, steal. Come. If you have greed, everything's easy. Yogadev, if you hear these next chapter, 19 of Madhya Lila, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions to Rupa Goswami, all doubts you have will be completely removed. That I have full confidence in that. Sri Sachinandan Gaura Hari Ki. Now is Aarti. Do you have a car, Yogita? Did you? Ah. Should have brought your clothes. You can stay the night and go tomorrow. Okay? Anyway. Krishna's arranging. Try and come in the morning. Very, very. Gopemanandi. Where's Pankaj? Dinabandapur, you want to sing?
Jai Shri Guru Granth